There are big decisions that we all need to make, but what can be a little bit stressful is realizing that after making that decision, a whole host of new decisions need to be made. And especially when there is a time crunch and the job is important, you don't want to mess about. So we're going to walk you through, once you've made the decision to dig a well, what types of wells there are. If you live in a rural area and need access to drinking water, you might be considering it, or perhaps you're just concerned with the quality of water where you live. Let's go through the most common types and the pros and cons of each. First, a dug well. It's exactly what it sounds like. They're the oldest and most traditional type of well. They're dug by hand or with machinery and can range in depth from a few feet to over 100 feet. Dug wells can be lined with brick, stone, or concrete to prevent the walls from collapsing. The pros of this type of well includes that they're relatively easy to dig in most cases and require only basic tools, and they can be dug out of most soil types. They can be relatively inexpensive to construct as well. When it comes to the cons, they're susceptible to contamination from surface water. They can run dry during periods of drought, and they require regular maintenance to ensure their safety and efficiency. So something to consider. Then there are driven wells. They're shallow wells that are constructed by driving a pipe into the ground. The pipe has a screen on the bottom to allow water to enter. The screen also prevents sand and debris from entering the well. There are, of course, pros to that one. They're relatively inexpensive to construct and can be installed quickly. They are less susceptible to contamination than dug wells, fortunately, but there are still drawbacks, which are they're susceptible to damage from floods and heavy rain. They can run dry again during periods of drought, and they may not be suitable for all soil types, so make sure to do your research before choosing any option. Then there are bored wells. They're constructed by drilling a hole into the ground with a drilling rig. You might not have access to this, but some people do. The well is then lined with a casing to prevent it from collapsing. And of course, the benefits of this type of well include that they can be drilled to great depths, and they can produce a large amount of water. So maybe for a community, a village, a large community in general. Then, of course, the drawbacks. They can be expensive. Access to that equipment is not easy. They require that specialized equipment and expertise to operate it, and they might not be suitable for all soil types. That heavy machinery can sometimes cause soil to cave in. Finally, there are drilled wells, similar to bored wells, but are typically deeper and wider in diameter. All of the same pros and cons, just a little more expensive, and they take longer to construct.